From software development to online marketing, Ankur Shukla has done it all. And in this exclusive interview, he tells us his secret to creating simple products that cost less and sell more. Check out this value-packed interview.
Hi, Anchor. How are you?
Doing good, Kimberly. How are you?
Good. I'm really good. We're really excited to have you join us today. We know that you've done a lot of launches. You're a big name here, and so we appreciate your time.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be on your show, and I've seen a few episodes, and it's really amazing what you guys have built, and I'm excited to be part of this.
Thanks. We appreciate that. So I understand you've been around 3.5 years. We've seen you've done a lot of work in those 3.5 years. Can you tell us just a little bit about how you got started?
Okay, so a few years ago, I used to basically build a software for other people, and basically I used to run a small IT team, and we used to build software for a lot of other internet marketers. And then I sold off that company, and then I basically moved. I wanted to basically have some independence, and I thought, why not? Let's try do our launches on our own. So I built some software products, and I started launching on my own. And slowly I got into the launch business, and basically I have been launching since then.
It's beautiful. I love to hear that. So today we're talking about creating simple products
hmm
that cost less but sell more. And so, I think when the general public thinks about creating products, it's really overwhelming.
hmm
You're saying it's not very expensive. I don't think that's what the general populace believes. Can you tell us a little bit about how to do that?
Right. So actually, I've seen a lot of people burn a lot of their cash into building a product only to, not launch it or basically not think that it's been fully done yet. They always keep adding new features and they basically keep, trying to bulk it up and add more and more features, make it more shiny. But I think the approach that works really well is basically having a one problem and one solution approach. So if you actually basically try to solve one simple problem, which is basically strong enough, and then basically it affects a lot of people. So if you just do that, and then you always have basically options to basically, add more features later and launch another version, and then launch another version after that. So you will
So
always have that opportunity.
I really like the way you put that because our first test launch that we did, we built and built and built, sort of. And I think that there was maybe there's a misnomer that it has to be big and grand instead of
Right.
just solving one little problem. Yeah.
Yeah, because with that you get the chance to basically grab your first thousand customers. They get to play with it, and you get some cash to actually invest into the next phase of development, and that always helps. And you also get to test the market with if this works or not.
So not so much how big it is, but really how well it solves a problem.
Yes. So just pick the core product, the core problem that is being solved, and then just launch that. And then after that, you can just basically add more things and then make it broader. And then always you'll have the first thousand customers will buy again, and they would want to upgrade, and you'll always have that.
Huh, I like it. I like it. What about, okay, so if people are keeping it simple, how do you, because we see these OTO1, OTO2, downsell, OTO3. So
Right.
how do you work with that? Do you use a different product in the funnel or, I mean,
Yeah.
how do
That
you,
is a strategy where you can use a complementary product, or you can actually just have a little bit more features. So initially when I did my first launch, we just focused on solving one small problem, and we just had another upsell with just more rights, and people could actually use the same software on, let's say, with client sites and other things. So that basically made it a simple sales funnel with one or two OTOs, and then you can always have other partners. So even if you don't have an offer that is your own, what you can actually do is reach out to other people who have a product which basically fits your audience more, and then you can add that as an upsell and basically offer them a percentage of the sales. And I've been doing that on a few launches, and it works amazingly well.
so people don't have to really beef their product up more. They just have to solve a simple problem, partner up, or strip down the features
Yeah.
to make it more simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Thanks for sharing that. Another thing that we've kind of heard a lot of talk about is kind of the decision-making process. There are so many decisions to make. Can you tell us a little bit about what you go through or how you prioritize when you have so many decisions to make when you're coming out with launching a product?
Yeah. So the first thing I look at is, how many people does, how big is the market for this product? So like I launched a product which basically did a lot of steps in WordPress, which really fast. And if you do it in a normal way, it would take you, like 20 minutes or 30 minutes. But what our product does was it basically did the same thing in less than 10 seconds. And basically, with that thing, basically we saw that everyone with the WordPress site would actually want this. And then when we launched the first version, we sold about 4,000 copies. When we launched the next version, we sold another 4,000 copies. And then when we launched the third version, we sold another 4,000. So basically, it keeps on growing, and then it keeps on having evergreen sales. And with these products, you can always actually have evergreen customers, and it can keep on basically growing up. So you just have to look at if the product actually has a bigger market for it. If you build it too niche, you can probably, you'll do well, but then you'll only get like 400, 500 sales, and then that's it.
Okay, so number one, focus on if there's a place and if the market will receive it well.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So, how many people does it actually cater to? And then after that, you just have to see how simple can you make it, because your average customer actually is not very technically savvy. So you have to keep it really simple. So you have to basically minimize the number of steps it takes to actually achieve the result. So if your problem is being solved in 3 steps, let's say in 14 steps, try to solve it in 5 steps instead of 14 steps. So even if that means trying to get rid of some of the extra features that he may not need, immediately. So
Awesome.
basically, that is another way of doing it.
We were talking earlier about how people waste a lot of money because of, well, a lot of ways they waste a lot of money, but making the wrong decisions can be costly. So how do
Correct.
you avoid making those mistakes? How do you stay away from making the mistakes? Any advice you can give kind of a newbie?
Sure, I'll give a good example. Like we launched a different product that we have launched. We were actually going to launch it as a SaaS product. Now, as you know, building a SaaS product is expensive, and it will probably end up costing you tens of thousands of dollars. So what we did was initially we built a WordPress plugin. Now, a WordPress plugin can be built really cheap, and there are lots of people who code in PHP and WordPress, and you can basically get the same thing done for under $1,000 maybe. And then you can launch that, get the first customers, get some cash going, and then invest in in a larger product that you can actually do. So a lot of people actually don't do this. They just go after the big SaaS product and then end up in investing. And then on top of that, the feature list keeps on growing, and then you don't actually stop. So you
Yeah.
actually also have to start shipping a product first before you actually keep on piling up features. So
I
that's it.
love that idea because that I think is so true. The SaaS has this big, bright lights and colors and everything to it, but really to just kind of simplify it down and do a WordPress plugin, begin there.
Mhm.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thanks for sharing that with us. So you've got a new launch coming up. You've got WP Fan Machine 2.0, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. So we launched the WP Fan Machine 1.0 last year, and we sold about 8,000 copies. It was a huge
Huge.
launch. And basically, it helps you build a real fans on autopilot on Facebook, and that's what it does. And we have basically made a lot of improvements. We've heard from customers, and we have basically added a lot of new features, and that's where we are launching the 2.0 on the 29th of February.
Great. Having done such a, it kind of reminds me of in the movies they do, Star Wars 1, Star Wars 2, or they start backwards. You
Right.
start with version 1 and you sell 8,000 copies. And then where do you go? Do you expect this to be even bigger, or do you how do you gauge that?
Yeah, I think it can be even bigger. Also, the version 1.0 still works, and we have basically been updating it over the past year. So even if all the people, even if they don't want the version 2.0 with the new features, they can basically keep using the first version, and even that works. So yeah, we do expect it to have at least 4,000 or 5,000 sales, and then we basically scale it up. It's also again a big market thing, because here everyone wants more fans on Facebook, and so it's a huge market. So we basically keep on selling even after the launch is over. So yeah, we'll go from there.
That's great. I'm excited to see it. We're definitely excited to see it. We know you're busy because you've got this coming up, so we're not going to take much more of your time, but we certainly do appreciate you being on our show today.
Thank you. It was great being here, and I love your show, and just keep doing awesome stuff.
Oh, thanks so much, Ankur. Take care.
Some great tips right there from a software development standpoint. Ankur's upcoming big launch of WP Fan Machine version 2 is expected to have some great results, and you can find it here on February 29th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Make sure to subscribe to our daily email updates, and we'll keep you updated on what's going on in internet marketing.